Hey guys, my name is Pepe with Oztex Transmission, and today we're going to tear down a 68 RFE. It's a 2020 four-wheel drive. Customer's complaint was it's been built a few times. I don't know if by the same shop or not. And after a couple hundred miles, I believe, it just starts to slip again and it keeps burning up. And the truck's been at that shop for a few months. So he just said, I'm just gonna take it down to Oztex Transmission and put one of their transmissions in there, and he's gone and happy. He's got a lot of miles on it now and everything's working great. But he did want us to tear it down and see what's wrong with his core. This is his core. So we're gonna tear it down and try to find out what's wrong with it. Alright, so this is the stock pan. Of course, we use a deep alloy pan in our unit. I mean, the stock pan works, but aftermarket pan works a lot better. Holds more oil, strengthens the case. I can see the shop did use a Mopar high quality filter. That's a good sign. The spin-on filter is all damaged and beat up. I have no idea how that happened. Looks like maybe it got pushed on its side without the pan on. That's kind of weird, but it is damaged. So let's tear into it. Let's pull the valve body. The valve body does look pretty much stock. We are gonna tear it down, of course, later to look and see what all's been done to it. So there's our valve body. It does have a stock accumulator plate. It does have plastic accumulator pistons, so none of that was updated or repaired. Looks like they did replace the solenoid pack, which is dirty and contaminated. But it does look like it's a new one. So that's the valve body. And the one thing I like to do is before I tear down a transmission, I always like to air check just to see if I can spot the problem before tearing it down further. So we're going to air check the low and reverse. And I'm looking at the visual clutch travel. Seems okay. That's the 4C, third and fifth gear. Seems okay. Second and sixth 2C. Seems okay. Let's look at overdrive. Oh wow. So I can already see a problem. That's our overdrive clutch. And the amount of travel on the piston is so much. I know that for sure the clutch pack is either burnt up or it's set up wrong. That's the underdrive. Sounds okay, but it could have a burn up clutch. Reverse seems okay as well. So hydraulic wise, it's holding pressure. So let's tear into the internals and see what's wrong inside. So we're gonna take the pump cover off. And for those of you guys that do this more often, you know, this is the best way to remove the pump cover with a couple small pocket screwdrivers. But as you can tell, this cover is dented up from being hit from the bottom. From here with the screwdriver, you can see that dent. We normally replace those anyways. Now we're gonna pull the pump. If I didn't break my phone. Over torqued. Yeah, these bolts are over torqued. 90% of the time, my 3/8 my small gun will take them off. I need to pull out the bigger gun. Thank you, Danny. I don't think over torquing those bolts will cause an issue, or that it has anything to do with our issue. They're just, I know they're over torqued because I couldn't get them off with my regular gun, and we're always able to get them off that way. Now we're gonna tear down the pump. We're gonna take off the stator first. Looks good. The stator gasket looks good. Take all these T25 bolts off. I'll be honest with you guys, normally I don't tear down transmissions unless I'm doing a diagnostic like here, or running an inspection to see what the cause of failure is. Usually one of our tear down ladies here will tear it down. Whenever they come to a point of needing an inspection, they come get me, and then we'll air check it together. Try to find out, you know, what failed. So that's how we normally operate. I do the final assembly, the final build, but the actual tear down normally don't do that. All right, so we're gonna look at the pump. As you can see, the fluid's brand new. It's really nice cherry red fluid, because obviously they've made several attempts and new fluid. It does have the stock pressure regulator valve, stock lockup valves, stock, everything looks stock. But then again, not necessarily, you know, our cause of failure. Unless, you know, of course, I get into vacuum testing these valves and I find that they're very wore out. But that's, you know, we got to do further testing for that. Separator plate in the pump looks okay. This pump gear is a little scratched up. It may have been replaced and it got scratched up again, but that definitely needs to be replaced. This is no good. These were installed backwards. They're supposed to go this way, but that, again, that didn't cause our problem. That looks okay. Now let's tear into the good stuff here. This does have a stock input shaft, of course. On our stage 2s that we build here, we put a billet input shaft for, you know, tuned and deleted trucks and hot tunes. But then again, that's not the problem. Pocket screwdriver. All right, let's get this drum apart. So we're gonna push down on the reverse input backing plate, and we're gonna push it off. Okay. Reverse clutch looks okay. This is the Overdrive hub. It's a little scratched up. It needs to be polished up. Bushings are a little scratched up. They do need to be replaced as well. This is the Underdrive hub. It's pretty good shape, just needs to be cleaned up. Now we're gonna take off the Overdrive clutch, the one we suspect is burnt up since we did the when we did the air check. This is the drum that we saw that had a really long travel. So let's open this up. I already know it's stock, it's not modified, it doesn't have a high performance pressure plate. This is stock plate. This really bad shape, it's burned up, a lot of heat. And here's our Overdrive clutch pack. And it is completely burned up. Let me take out the last one so we can look at it together. So this is the one in the bottom, burn up. That's what they're supposed to look like, that color there. So there's your overdrive clutch, and it is completely smoked. The clutches are coned. So this is definitely our failure. This is what's wrong with the transmission. So we're gonna do a little further inspection to see what caused this. But of course, the truck being tuned and deleted and running stock friction count is definitely not the way to do it. It's just not gonna hold up to the engine's torque on a tuned and deleted truck. So a little further down, we have the underdrive clutch. So we're gonna inspect that. Just don't have my, not being my workbench here. Sorry, Hilda, I'm screwing up your workbench. Tear down bench. All of our building benches are in the clean room over there. This is where we tear down all the transmissions and do the inspections. That's the stock overdrive, underdrive snap ring. Definitely goes in the scrap metal. That needs to be updated with the heavy duty one. A little bit of heat on the underdrive, overdrive plate. Now we're gonna take off the underdrive snap ring. If I can find the end on it, here it is. And this is the underdrive clutch. Looks okay. Stock count. This is what the overdrive clutch almost has to look like this guy here. But obviously, as you can see, it's completely burned up. So this is completely shot. So this transmission wouldn't have had a fourth, fifth, or sixth gear, probably just first and third. The pistons do look like they've been replaced. Of course, it needs to be completely torn down, pistons replaced again. They're probably contaminated with all the small metal and clutch fragments that came off the overdrive clutch. That bushing looks wore out. Let me see how bad it is. It's not terribly bad, but it's bad enough to where it needs to be replaced. So that bushing, a little bitty bushing there. Now, if you run a billet input shaft, it's going to come with the new bushing anyway. So just something that doesn't have to be done. But obviously, we found our point of failure there. I can look a little further to look at the second and sixth clutch, which is your 2C. Just take a look at it just to see how it looks. And of course, why did the overdrive clutch burn up? Well, we cannot just blame the small clutch count and the truck making so much power. We also got to look at see why the truck wasn't making as much pressure as it was tuned to make. And there's our gears look okay. Bushings are a little scratched up, but they're okay. Of course, that's all comes in the bushing kit anyways. Let's look at the 4C clutch. 4C clutch looks okay. Third and fifth. The center support here did not get updated. There's like 5 different companies that make an update. They make the little ring retainer so the snap ring doesn't pop out. So there's no excuse why you shouldn't update this. You should update it every time. There's plenty of options out there in the aftermarket to do it. So that needs to be updated, whether it's a stock build or a high performance, needs to be done every time. Let's look at the two. Gonna look. That was a 3, 3rd, and 5th. Now we're gonna look at 2nd and 6th clutch, and it should look okay. Couple heat spots. Actually, that one's pretty heated. That steel there got a lot of heat. Again, possibly truck making a lot of power, because it air checked good. That means the piston's okay. But I'm actually surprised that looks this way. I was expecting it to look okay, but it is got pretty hot. Not completely burned up. This would have still gave you an okay second and sixth gear, but eventually the glazing would cause the clutches to glaze more and not absorb oil and fail eventually. So definitely a lot of heat here, a lot of slippage. These steels need to be replaced, of course, because they're overheated. And further down we have the reverse and the lone reverse planetary. We're still gonna take it all apart, replace the bushings, do a full inspection. But right now I'm focusing on why this guy failed. Why did the overdrive clutch fail? So we already know that none of the valves in the pump got updated or replaced or repaired. Now one might say, what if it's a brand new pump from the dealer and that's why it doesn't have new valves? Well, that's one way to look at it. It's a 2017 pump. So this pump was built in 2017. So it may have gotten replaced, or he put another pump on it, or actually I'm wrong. This cannot be a 2017 because it's the newer style. Maybe it was manufactured in 17 but then used in the 2019 and up year models. So not sure why there's a 17 on there. But anyhow, it is the correct pump, but as it looks like it didn't get replaced with the brand new one. But I normally don't recommend replacing it with the new one. That's what you can repair it with the Sonax reamer and Sonax valves. Transgo also makes some good valves for it. So focusing on the overdrive clutch, what we're gonna look and see if the valve body, I can already tell it hasn't been modified to make more pressure, leading up to the possible cause of the overdrive clutch failure. But let's just tear it down to inspect the separator plate, because it does look like it's a stock one. And this here is the lockup solenoid, which is different in your 19 and ups. They use this solenoid with the different code there. That looks okay. Got your check ball in place. And remember guys, this is the core that came out of that truck. We had a transmission in stock, normally do. So we installed our transmission just to get our customer in and out of here quickly. Since he's been out of a truck for months, he couldn't wait any longer. So we installed one of our transmissions, test drove it, worked perfect. It's been gone for a couple weeks. And we're finally coming around to tearing down this core to do the inspection. Being my luck, these bolts will probably be stuck. Didn't get them all the way out. There's the solenoid pack. Of course, as you can imagine from this burn up clutch pack, all that clutch material is now stuck in the solenoids in here, so that's no good anymore. And I just want to show you guys, I can already tell that the separator plate did not get updated or replaced for the high performance or to make more pressure to match the customer's software transmission tuning. I just want to show you. So this is the channel plate, the stock one. And nothing wrong with the stock channel plate, except it does need to be drilled here for to make the higher pressure, along with the matching separator plate. And so this is a stock separator plate. It does have the Mopar number in there. So with this setup, it's only going to make a maximum of 160 pounds. Now this customer's truck was tuned and modified to make up to 225 pounds. So obviously with this setup here, it was never going to reach that. Again, I'm not saying that's 100% the reason why this failed, but if you add up the wear and tear in the pump and not having the right setup in the valve body to make that pressure with all the amount of torque that the engine's making, that stock overdrive clutch is not going to hold. Valve body looks okay. Looks like the check balls are in the correct location. So you can see it's got aluminum, not aluminum pistons, it's got the plastic stock pistons. So this looks pretty much like a stock rebuild. It did get the switch valve replaced. We're gonna look in there. It does have the transgo valve. One thing I like about the transgo valve, that I like my cores to come in with the transgo valve actually. The reason I like the transgo valve, because it's if the bore is scratched up, which it is, it's a little scratched up just from maybe cutting a little too fast. But it's not, again, not the cause of failure, but since it is a little scratched up, what we're gonna do now is go in there with the Sonax reamer, which is a little bit oversized, and put the Sonax valve in there. That doesn't mean the Sonax valve is better. What that means is that's the next size up. So coincidentally, the Sonax valve setup works perfectly fine. When you have a transgo setup valve that's been oversized, you can go in there and cut oversize for the Sonax valve, which is exactly what we're gonna do here. So on this valve body, we're gonna bore that oversize with the Sonax valve. We're gonna put the billet accumulator pistons and the heavy duty billet cover that's really thick and has a lot more grip, more area, because a lot of times they'll pop off or break here in the overdrive accumulator. So overall, stock clutch count and the valve body not modified or set up for higher pressure led to the cause of failure of the overdrive clutch. Very common. This is a very common problem that we see in our shop. And as you can tell, normally these don't get burned up, but this truck's making some power. And because it's making some power, it needs more pressure. So again, our stock clutch count factory is 6 clutches. These are single-sided, but if you count the ones with teeth, there's just 6 of them. The way we set ours up is with 8. Some shops run 7. That 7 works perfectly fine. But it's just, for us, it's just more cost-effective to run 8. It costs a little more time in modifying the pressure plates on the lathe, a little more machine work, but you run that extra insurance in your overdrive clutch pack, and if you set up for higher pressure with your heavy-duty pistons and valves, you're gonna have a winner that's gonna go for a good while and hold up to that extra power.